Hi everyone, I'm Christine Heister, and I'm going to be showing you a tutorial on creating playing card stencils. And I just have some regular playing cards, but they're not the super flimsy ones that you can get sometimes with images on the back and pop culture and stuff like that. So these are regular playing cards, so they're good cardstock. I have a cutting mat, self-healing cutting mat, and my trusty little craft knife, and I have a Sharpie for drawing the images on there, on the card, and I have some scrap paper. So I'm going to do today a couple different ones for you. I'm going to show you an easier one, which would be like an arrow, something with more straight lines, and then I'm going to show you how you actually can do pretty intricate drawings and cutouts for these stencils with whatever image comes to mind. So I'm going to start off by just doing some practice images, and I wanted to do an arrow, probably just a plain arrow with the little tail things on the back. I don't even know what they're called. Do they have a name? Something similar to that. So I'll be doing something like that, and then I think maybe I'll do a curved arrow. Something like that. So I can probably fit 3 different things on here, so that's what I'm going to try to do. Now, something important to remember is that with the Sharpie, if you make a mistake in your drawing, it has nothing to do with where you cut. So you can easily go over your lines, fix something, show something else that you didn't have originally in there when you cut, and it's very simple and very easily editable. So there's one of the arrows, and I think I'll do this one this way. That's going to be kind of close to the edge. I might fix that as I actually cut it out. Be surprised how intricate you can make these. Since you're using a craft knife and not scissors, you're not bound to the way the scissors move or don't move. Probably make that a little bit narrower when I actually cut it. So, since this is a shiny card, you'll notice some of the Sharpies coming off on my fingers, and I don't care, my hands are perpetually dirty. So I'm going to now start cutting these out, and I'm simply using the craft knife, cutting through all the layers of this cardstock. And again, I'm going to not quite get to the edge there. The best thing about stencils that you make yourself, I think, is the imperfection of them. It's just little quirks, and it's not going to be as perfect as a die cut, and I like it that way. I don't use stencils all that often that are store-bought stencils, unless they are things like circles, which I want to be perfect, and it's hard to cut circles with a craft knife. Pushing very hard with this craft knife because I know that these cards are thick enough that I need to do so. And being careful not to cut my fingers, that would be not good. And again, I'm going a little outside or inside the lines because my original sketch wasn't perfect, and so I can adjust as I go. I'm going to make this only 2 feathers on the end instead of 3. I think I'll do that. Let's see how popping this out will be. Sometimes that's the most challenging part because you see where you've missed in the cutting. And I'm going to just cut this arrow top part off. out of the way. Alright, so I need a little bit more point on this side, I can see. And kind of play around with it as you go. And this little part came out pretty well. Stubborn, and there we go. So you can see I just left that part out completely, and I like the way that turned out. So now let's try the curvy one. Curves are a little bit more challenging to cut with the craft knife, but not impossible, and you can always shade edges off as you need to once you've gotten the main bulk of the image out. So I'm just going to shift my hand around with little strokes, trying to keep the craft knife fully in the stencil, in the cardstock, all the way down to the cutting mat. That actually worked out pretty well. That was my best cut to date. Alright, so there are a few arrows that you could use individually or together in your artwork. Now, another idea I had was to make birds on a wire. And I made this one earlier, and I'll just show you a little bit of how I did that. So I'll get some scrap paper out again with my Sharpie. And what I did is I looked up some images online, just pictures of birds on a wire, and got some different positions they were in, different sizes, and again, very easy to adjust if you need to. And I just add the beaks after the fact because you don't have to add them immediately as you're drawing. You just want to get the main bulk of the bird shape. Okay, that'll do. And actually this guy's sitting a little bit higher than the other two, so I'll probably make sure I get a better line across, just kind of eyeballing that. And I'll probably put a little beak in there after. So I want this guy to be kind of side view, and again I'm just going to adjust him because I didn't make his belly quite fat enough. So there we go. Good. Alright, so these will be a little more challenging to cut out because they are more rounded, but not impossible. I'm not going to cut out the wire, obviously, because that you can draw in on your art journal page or whatever else you use. A mixed media piece, or even just sketching. Okay, so there's my first little birdie. Came out really nicely. I'm going to just put a teeny weeny little beak over here, and you can see that just a little bit. Again, if you don't have playing cards on hand, so much of this kind of stuff is very easily adjustable, and you could easily use cardstock or flashcards. You can find cheap flashcards at Goodwill or thrift stores. So there's number 2. I'm going to make his little beak down here. And my final little guy. just love seeing birds on a wire in wintertime. I'm one of those people who loves winter. Go figure. That guy didn't make his head very rounded, so I'm going to have to probably fix that. Let's see. Oh, he turned out okay. I'll give him a little beak on this side as well. And there you have it. So, we can take a piece of scrap paper, and I have a sponge, and I have a little bit of black paint, and I'll show you how they worked out. I could do them individually and not worry about having them right next to each other. And what I think I'm going to do, there they are, is I'm going to put this guy over here. Well, maybe I'll put him farther away from his buddies. But the paint's still wet, so I probably shouldn't do that. But you can just spread them out any way you like. You can, if you wait till they dry, you can do a whole sequence across the page of these little birds. And if you do another of maybe a couple birds landing on the wire, you can just spread them out and mark them as you see fit. So there's my little stencil of my bird. Birds on a wire.